All right, let's talk about your licensing agreement. I've got a simple question for you. Is it just some dusty legal shield sitting in a file cabinet? Or is it a sharp sword you're actually using to win in your market? Today, we're going to show you how to turn that dense document into the strategic weapon it's meant to be. This is the big one, right? It's the fundamental question every single founder faces. How do you unlock the incredible potential of your intellectual property without basically handing over the keys to your kingdom? Get it right, and you've got a brand new revenue stream. But get it wrong, and whoops, you might have just created your next biggest competitor. It's the ultimate high-stakes balancing act. So this is where we have to flip the script. We need to stop thinking about a licensing agreement as just a defensive document to protect what's yours. When you craft it the right way, it becomes a proactive playbook, a guide that actually drives your growth, builds powerful partnerships, and makes your position in the market even stronger. So how do we build this playbook? Well, it all starts with our first pillar. You've got to treat licensing as a core part of your strategy. Before a single word of legalese gets written down, you have to be crystal clear on your why. Because the reason you're licensing your IP in the first place, that's going to dictate every single clause in the contract. And those goals completely change the shape of your agreement. Just think about it for a second. If your goal is to quickly get into the market in, say, Brazil, you're going to craft a deal that gives your partner huge incentives for marketing and distribution. But if you're licensing a luxury brand, that same agreement will be packed with super strict quality controls. The objective defines the entire structure. Okay, so once your why is clear, it's time for Pillar 2, defining the scope and boundaries. This is where you lay out the rules of the game. I like to think of it as building a sandbox for your licensee. You need to make the walls clear and strong, but you also have to give them enough room inside to build something amazing. And as you can see here, it is a serious tightrope walk. If you make the scope too broad, you're risking brand damage, or you might see your IP used in ways you never ever intended. But if you make it too narrow, you totally suffocate your partner's ability to innovate, and you both end up leaving money on the table. So how do you find that perfect balance? By getting incredibly specific across these four boundaries. Territory. Are we talking all of North America or just California? Duration. Is this a 2-year deal or is it forever? Modifications. Can they actually adapt your tech? And hey, who owns those improvements? And finally, use. Is this only for the automotive industry or can they branch out into aerospace? Trust me, ambiguity is your enemy here. Once that sandbox is built, we move on to Pillar 3, designing smart financials. And listen, this is about so much more than just getting paid. When you do it right, the financial structure is the engine that aligns your partner's goals directly with your own. You've basically got two big levers to pull here. Upfront fees, they give you immediate cash. And more importantly, they prove the licensee has real skin in the game. Royalties, on the other hand, well, they tie your fortunes together for the long haul. When they win, you get a piece of that win. The real magic happens when you use a smart combination of both. Here's how you can build a structure that really drives performance. First, you start with that upfront fee to confirm they're committed. Then you create tiered royalties to incentivize growth. For instance, maybe it's a 5% royalty on the first million in sales, but it jumps to 7% after that. And finally, you add milestone bonuses for hitting key targets like launching in a new country. See, now you're not just partners, you're truly aligned. And finally, we get to the most critical pillar of all. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. Securing your IP ownership. These clauses are the absolute, non-negotiable core of your agreement. They protect the very asset you're trying to license. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? These clauses are your ultimate safeguard. They make sure that after all the collaboration, all the development, and all the sales, your intellectual property still belongs to you and only you. There can be zero ambiguity on this point. Which brings us to the golden rule of licensing, and if you remember one thing, make it this. You are handing them a key to use the house, not the deed to own it. A license is permission. It is never, ever a transfer of ownership. Your agreement has to make this crystal clear. This table basically gives you a clear roadmap. The first two are pretty straightforward. Your original IP and any improvements made to it should always remain yours. But pay really close attention to that last one, data and insights. The customer data and the market intelligence that's generated from using your IP, that is an incredibly valuable asset. You have to make sure your agreement specifies that this treasure trove of information flows right back to you. So what does this all add up to? Well, it's what we call strategic licensing.
It's the art of finding that perfect balance between collaboration and control. It's about transforming your IP from some passive asset you just have to protect into an active, competitive weapon that you use to win.
So I'll leave you with this final thought for your own business. Take a hard look at your agreements. Are they written just to defend your assets, like a shield, or are they actually crafted to proactively push your strategy forward and conquer new ground, like a sword? The difference, my friends, is everything.